Welcome to the One Verse Devotional Podcast. My name is Matt McCarrick, and my goal is to help you grow closer to God through one verse every day. Now let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to One Verse. My name's Matt. Thanks for joining me today. We've already had a great week starting off. We've been in the book of Romans chapter 12, and they've been kind of difficult verses. I mean, it's always difficult when someone is calling you to live a better life, a higher life, taking the high road, I guess, however you want to say it. But I would say that's exactly what we find out of Romans chapter 12, 1 and 2. When Paul says you need to live as a living sacrifice, he is setting the bar high, almost to that impossible level. And that's why I love that he starts off saying, but first, in view of God's mercy. This would be overwhelming without God's mercy, without his love, without his grace. But through those things, we can now kind of aim for that better way, God's way, that we can transform our mind. That's what we got out of Romans chapter 12, verse 2 yesterday. So if you missed Monday and Tuesday's one verse, I encourage you to go back and listen to those. Now today we are in a different book. We're in 2 Corinthians, but I'm kind of taking off from that whole idea of renewing your mind. Well, how can we do that? What does that look like? How can we see things through God's eyes? And so to answer that question, I'm going to 2 Corinthians that was also written by Paul. So we have the same author. So that really has a lot of synergy among his writings. And it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 18, so we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. How do we renew our minds? How do we transform our minds? How do we think differently than the rest of the world? Well, this verse right here, I think, begins to answer that. We fix our eyes not on what is seen. That's what the world does. They look at the stuff that they own. They look at their career and how far they've made it up the ladder of success and what their promotions are and all the things that people measure their lives by. Success can mean so many things to so many different people, but it's something that many of us are striving for. And then Jesus comes along and sets out a new way. And then Paul teaches us about that new way. And he says, hey, according to the gospel, we shouldn't be focused on those things that we see, but let's focus on the things that we don't see. Now, he doesn't exactly tell us what those things are, but I'm going to offer up a few and you see if your heart agrees with mine in this area. First of all, we obviously don't see God or Jesus. I know he's with me, but I don't see him next to me, which is great because it would totally freak me out, right? Or like if you go back and read the story of Moses, if God was standing right here next to me and I could see him, it would literally kill me. Like he told Moses, like, you can't look at my face, it would kill you. So that's something that is unseen. I don't see Jesus. I don't see heaven. So I want to focus on those things. I want to focus on the eternal, on heaven, on what really matters, on earning those crowns in heaven. Now, what are some other things that we don't see? Well, we don't see love. We can see the effects of love. We can see love in action, but the emotion of love, I can't see. And so, again, I think that's something that we are called to focus on. We can't see grace. We can't see these types of mindsets, but I believe that's what this verse is partially saying. Hey, focus on heaven. Focus on God. Focus on love. Focus on caring for others. Focus on serving others and having a servant's heart. I can see someone serving others, but what we can't see is someone's heart and their motivations. And so we focus on those things in our life. How can I have the motivation to love and serve others? Why? Because what we see is temporary. It all is going to fade away. And so Paul encourages us. He says, how are you going to transform your mind? Well, one way to do it is to fix on those things that truly matter. And it happens to be that all the things that truly matter are things we can't even see with our eyes. What's going to matter in eternity? You know what's going to matter in eternity? How you treat people, how you love people. If you shared the gospel with them, and I know that's hard, like, oh, people are going to judge me, or I'm at work, or I can't do that, or it's going to sacrifice relationships or my job or career or friendships or whatever. I get it. It's not easy, but have the courage to ask yourself what really matters. If you found that hope, then don't hold on to it. That's what really matters. Now, I'll tell you the other thing about this verse that's really cool before we close out. The context of this verse actually is all about the troubles that we face in this world. This verse is actually filled with hope. He says, in the verse before, he says, our momentary troubles are actually achieving us eternal glory that outweighs them all. How can eternal glory outweigh our current troubles? And then he moves on to our verse today and says, because we fix our eyes not on the things that we see here now, not on our current troubles in this broken world, but we fix our eyes on the things of Jesus, his love, his grace, his mercy, his healing. And I think then if we want to transform our minds and be that living sacrifice, we do that same thing in the lives of others, that we offer that love, that grace, and that hope. Have a great day.